Welcome to Two Psychics. This is Michael Edley, evidential medium and mystic, discussing all things spiritual.
Hello, I'm Mary Amy of Two Psychics, an intuitive wisdom coach, tapping into your mystical life and sharing messages I receive about you.
Hey everyone, hi! I'm Mary Amy, Intuitive Wisdom Coach, and this is Michael Edley, Evidential Medium, and we are Two Psychics from the East Coast coming to you live on May 14th. It's episode 89. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Wow, so much is going on in the paranormal realm, isn't it? Disclosure, disclosure, disclosure. Okay, everyone, so tonight we have a very fascinating guest. He's one of us. He's an intuitive investigator, and his name is Troy Griffin. And Michael is a very good friend of his. You can find Michael at eyeofthespirits.com. You can find me at maryamyofficial.com. Hey, Michael, how are you tonight?
Hello. Can you hear me? My video is lagging a little bit. Unfortunately, I think I'm going to have to fire up next week on my other computer, but I think you can hear me, correct? And you can see me even though the video is a little laggy.
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm just right now going to add it to our Two Psychics podcast page. Well, I have a little bit of technology issue. It did not want me to create the stream, but here we are. I finally did it. So you can find us here on Facebook and on YouTube. So, Michael, anything you want to speak about before we get into our topic, intuition?
This is going to be a good topic of discussion, and we have a fantastic guest, good friend of mine, Troy Griffin. I'm excited to bring him aboard the show today, and I think it's going to be a really good discussion talking about mediumship, intuition, all the things that have been very interesting for his journey. And I'm looking forward to discussing that, kind of allowing that to unfold a little bit. I'm trying to stay in a neutral spot so when my video freezes up, I don't look all weird and weird facial expression.
No worries.
No, I have event coming up. Let's see, in Brick. I have at the Urban Coal House here in Brick Township, New Jersey, right here at the Jersey Shore. That is coming up May 27th, I believe it is. You can jump on my Facebook page, I Have the Spirits with Michael Edley, and I will have links to the tickets. And that's a psychic night I do here with a good group of practitioners. Then we have on, what do we have? The 10th, right?
June 10th at the Pelham Rails. And that is in Pelham, New York. And we are doing our first dinner and psychic show. So there's a 3-course meal, and there are, I think it's a cash bar. I know that. Tax included, $65. And then Michael and I are going to do a show. We haven't figured out how long the show is yet. I have to talk to the promoter, but that should be very interesting. And we'll be giving readings. Michael will be giving mediumship readings. I'll be giving psychic readings. We'll be putting on some kind of show there while people are eating dinner in Pelham, New York. And I love that idea. I've never done anything like that. We've done live events. We keep circling back to Pelham, and we've done some live events in New Jersey, in Pelham, in Rye, New York. And so this will be our first dinner and psychic show event. So that should be interesting. I have to tell you lately, Michael, my intuition, that's our topic tonight, which is all about a hunch, a quick sensation. It's instinctual. You have a knowing without any prior knowledge. As a clairvoyant or someone who practices their clairsenses, you also are utilizing your intuition like I do. But lately, more so in the last few nights, I go to sleep and I have these epic dreams, and they're very colorful and nothing negative, just an adventure. And it's interesting. You know how I tune into this frequency. So I hear this frequency, and I've been hearing this frequency for a couple of years now, and I have spirits come to me. I have more remote viewing going on where I'm seeing specific locations. Oh, we're getting comments. Oh, it's Kevin Haggerty. I know
What
who
is
that guy
Griffin?
is. Excited for the dinner. Susan, are you coming? Oh, they're going to have a conversation in the chat. That's what they like to do.
It's gonna be a good one. I
It
hear
is.
the food is fantastic there, so I'm looking forward to doing our event there at Pelham Rails. It's gonna be a nice night, and we are very well received in Pelham, so
We
I'm
are.
looking forward to getting back there. It's gonna be a fun time.
Is this going to be like a night of sequins? Do you wear like a sequin, or do you wear a rainbow or a pastel men's
I'm thinking maybe
tuxedo?
we go all leather.
I know, that's right. I don't know if you have anything other than black or gray, do you?
I have a few things. But
Ruffy
not much
like
not much
shirt.
other than that.
But yeah, I don't know. That's going to be very interesting. I'm excited for that. But I'm realizing now that more and more people are not questioning what we do as much. And that I love, because I've been an outcast, a dark horse who's least likely to win the race. I'm always underestimated. And are you, Michael, finding that more people are becoming okay with psychic abilities,
Well,
crossing over with spirituality?
I think it's all coming to the surface. So whether people want to acknowledge it or whether they wanna discredit it or try to keep it buried or just stay away from it because of a fear-based mindset, I think there's no way around it, but it's coming to the surface. It's becoming more mainstream because people are understanding there's so much more to this physical realm than what meets the eye. And, they absolutely should question that because there's an entire spiritual realm around us that's been hidden or it's been, misconstrued or manipulated to try to disconnect us from that. And, it's time people reawaken to what ancient cultures knew. We are all divinely connected. We're a divinely connected being, and everything is connected through energy, frequency, and vibration. So we can start to understand that there's a language, there's a divine language that we can start to tap into, understand, and connect with. It changes our whole perception of this reality. And more people are starting to question this reality. I think more people are starting to wake up. But look, we're ingrained into some pretty long revered, I guess, belief systems. So it's going to take a lot to break those barriers down and let people see what the truth really is or what's been hidden from us. So it's a process, it's an awakening. And I think many people are starting to understand that. Many people are starting to awaken to there is so much more to this reality. I think the question that I present to a lot of people is, even if you're caught up in this physical realm and you haven't tuned into or you haven't really acknowledged the spiritual realm, just start to open to it and tune into it and see how it affects you. Just let go and trust. And in that process, how does that feel? And I think most people will say, well, it's interesting. I feel like there's something there, something maybe calling me into that unknown. And I think if we can just at least open the door and have that discussion, then that awakening will keep unfolding.
Surrender to it.
Yeah.
And yes, and I've had more unusual intuitive readings lately, and I've had some kind of block in the past, and you know this because I did send the spirits away. I said, no, no, no. And then they circled back and they came back and they'd come to me. However, I never could connect and communicate with them. And now it's happening to me with angels that are around clients. It's happening with spirits. It's happening with me speaking to their inner spirit, and they're telling me what to tell the client. And it's happening to me with extraterrestrials. So I'm now telepathically. So what happens is, I don't know what you see, but they drop down in my third eye. So I can see them right here. And I have a conversation with them. Like, I hear what they're telling me to tell the person. And I don't know, some of it I have to filter, because you don't want to tell people certain things. You have to filter some of it out. And I don't want to filter it out, but sometimes you have to filter it out, because I don't know, the message, I don't want to be the messenger.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the interesting things that I've seen lately that I don't think I realized as much of existed in our society as it does, but the basis of lots of families and lots of people being raised with like no spiritual or religious belief system or any structure that there's something else beyond this physical. And I guess for me, growing up in a very spiritual and religious dynamic, was always present in my life. I always had this understanding that there's something else. And then I had my own experiences, like you've had your own experiences that really drew you into this. It wasn't just you read about something, it was you had this really beautiful divine experience and it opened your eyes to there's something else. But what I'm finding is I have a lot of people coming to me now that are in like spiritual conflict, and they're coming to me as an evidential medium because they want proof that there's an afterlife, or is there something else, or is there really something beyond this physical? How can you bring evidence through or show me something that I don't know so I can believe that there's something else? And it's weird, and I don't know if it's just a different dynamic of how people were raised and society now of everything's connected and the internet and cell phones, and we've gotten away from a lot of traditions and a lot of like old school values that I think we both had when we were growing up and we saw a little more prevalent in society. So I don't know if, since we've gotten away from that overall as a society, it's interesting because it's the first time that I've really had sessions where I have people that have no spiritual direction and they're just coming to me and they're like, well, tell me, is this real, or show me, or I lost someone really crucial in my life and I need to know like what's going to happen now, or what happens with them, or what goes on now. And it's been a very interesting dynamic that I don't think I've ever seen up until recent, and it's interesting. So I think these discussions have to happen. And I think we need to talk about these other realms of existence and, the spiritual realms and these other interconnected dimensions. Otherwise, you could have a whole segment of humanity that just, goes away, disappears, and is controlled, harnessed, and manipulated. And, and is AI going to take over and robotics rule? And, we're just, are we harvested just for our souls from some, weird, crazy
off planet
terrestrial beings, or what is, I've heard that before,
off planet colonization.
I think it's good that we do this because I think these discussions have to happen. And I think we present them in a way that if people are afraid of, traditional religion, or they're not sure about spirituality, we can kind of open some of these discussions and tell people, look, we've had our own experiences. That's why we talk about this, because of our own experiences that we've truly had. And we want to show people that, yeah, there is something to this. There is something to intuition. Intuition really exists. There is a spiritual realm, and psychic abilities and mediumship is something that is divinely inherent with all humans.
Well, you really hit home with that, because I've experienced the same, because there's such a disparity between spiritual and the physical reality,
Mhm.
man-made and organic. And if you're not raised by someone who has a belief or a faith, trust, then you say, okay, then they might only believe of something if they have proof or they see it for themselves.
Mhm.
And it is about having the experience, but you can ask for the experience. You don't have to have a near death experience like you and I did, where I met up with angels and you knew of spirit and knew of another side. You can ask for a miracle. You can pose it out there to the universe, like, bring me something to show me, and you will receive divine intervention because it exists. And I was lucky in a lot of respects that I was at such a young age. I had a very strong belief system, and I trusted myself more than I trusted other people. But you can find it. You can find it in nature. You can find it in the elements of nature. You can find this by tuning into yourself or asking for questioning. As soon as you start questioning and having a willingness and a trust, and go to the compassion that's in your heart, your life will shift and change. But it's not my, what's my purpose is not to force people information. They have to decide for themselves and figure it out. And that's what life is, right? Something happens and then you might have to shift or look at things from a different perspective and grow. And who knows? Okay, so he's going to be coming on in a minute. How about if I just give a description so when he does pop on, we can bring him out?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that okay?
Yeah, let's go.
Um, and for everyone out there who is a we got another comment. Who's this? Suzanne. I know it's got to be Suzanne. Suzanne says, "I am here." I love that. Suzanne, you coming?
What is up,
Anyone
Suzanne?
who follows us, I just would like to say next week we have Joe Scheel, who's a medium, and Mike's, he's another friend of Mike's. And then we have Kelly Wagner. We have Debbie, I can't say her last name, Dauschinger, and she's an ET contactee, shamanism. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, so Troy, who is Troy? I believe Troy's in California. Is that correct, Mike?
Yes, Troy is on the West Coast.
He's coming from California to New York and New Jersey. A certified intuitive practitioner and life strategist. With over 20 years of experience, he is known for delivering direct, actionable insight without fluff, tools, or theatrics often associated with the industry. With features and appearances across Netflix, ABC News, Oxygen True Crime, Vice, People, New York Post, Daily Mail, and The Sun, he has built a reputation as one of the most visible and publicly tested intuitive professionals. I know you are also have been tested, Mike.
Mhm.
And he has been consulted beyond private sessions. He has been consulted on more than 600 unsolved and complex cases, offering an investigative, intuitive perspective that focuses on patterns, behavioral insight, and overlooked details. He's positioning his work as supportive to understanding, not a replacement for evidence. He's conducted over 14,000 readings, worldwide, helping individuals' personal challenges with clarity and direction. He's often referred to as the psychic or the people. He bridges the gap between intuition and real world decision making, delivering ground insight designed not to just inform, but to move people forward. Troy's work isn't about telling people what is about to happen, it's about giving and deciding what happens next. Wow. Okay. So when we are exposed to people like Troy and people are exposed to us, it changes their frequency and vibration. So it'll be very interesting to see what kind of effect. I mean, I know you've already had a lot of contact with him, but I haven't. So
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah,
see what
you're gonna love Troy. He's a great guy, and, there's certain people that are just naturally drawn into this work of mediumship because their soul is calling them to do it, and Troy is one of those people, and that's why him and I think, connect so well and, hit it off right from the beginning. So, Troy's someone who has also had a lot of very traditional religious upbringing and someone that experienced the dynamic of connecting to spirit in like a religious household. So, not really knowing how to understand this, not really knowing where and who to turn to. So, it was an interesting upbringing, very, very similar to mine. So, that's why, I find it fascinating how, as a medium, when we're naturally connecting to this and we naturally tune into this, how regardless of what the circumstances are around us, when we're meant to do this work, we'll just be pulled into it, and it's I want to hear a little bit of his story and a little bit of his upbringing, which I'm not super familiar with, but I do know, he does have like the same religious connections that I have, and I just I think it's something that when we're children, we really tune into and we're open to. And, Mary, we've had this discussion a lot. Children are very intuitive, they're very connected. And unfortunately, as we grow up, society kind of washes it out of us. We grow out of it or we block it out, or people want to think we're crazy or this is woo-woo stuff. But like you and we say, this can be the most life-changing thing when we tune into it. And I think Troy is someone that'll also vouch for that. But I think, there are certain people that are just, regardless of what they do, or trying to run away from this or go the other way or block it out. We're just on a soul level called to do this work. And, he's one of those people. So I find it fascinating that people with like minds will connect, and that's I feel the same thing for you, Mary, like you and I connected. There's this weird string of events and chain of events that unfolds, and I do believe in that string of events as it unfolds will connect certain people for a reason. Even if we don't know what that reason and purpose is initially, I do believe there is a reason behind all of it. And I do believe there's a reason why, we've connected with Troy, why I met up with Troy, our similar backgrounds. And, I'm excited to hear his story and share with everyone, a lot of the connections and a lot of the conflict that us as mediums, deal with going through this process.
well, he- it's interesting because I'm now in a new cycle, and I was talking to someone at my job in the Matrix, my part-time job while I'm writing my book, and I'm doing very well. I'm very excited about that. I'm so excited about that. Anyway, I was speaking to this friend of mine at work today, and I was talking about cycles, and I said, "Well, you're in my cycle," and she said, "What does that mean?" I said, "Well, I'm in a new cycle, and you're in it." And she's like, "What does that mean? Who's in my cycle?" And I said, "Well, you might be in my cycle, but I'm not running on the same cycle as you. We're just crossing over." And I said, so I have certain people that have remained in my cycle, like you've remained in my cycle, and other people have left my cycle.
Mhm.
And there's lifelong friends, and I find that more people that have intuitive traits, that have empathic traits, are from my tribe, and they are in my cycle, and they stay in my cycle. So this new cycle is very uplifting. This new cycle, I'm happy all the time. Most of the time, I should say happy all the time, but I like this cycle more than the
That's a
last one.
good high vibrating energy that you wanna connect with, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty positive right now. I'm feeling very good about the world,
Well, I
about
think you
life.
have to be, when the world sometimes is upended and you see the chaotic energy, sometimes the only thing you can do is put one foot in front of the other and try to stay positive, and I think if we can do that, you're gonna find a way to move forward, and some days are
Yes,
gonna be
no,
difficult, some days are not, but keep moving
fake,
forward and
fake it till you
you'll
make
find
it.
a
Fake
way.
it till you make it. go with the flow. Go with the
Yeah.
flow. Right?
Yeah.
Be positive. So everyone out there, just so you know, in my home, see, this is all clear quartz. I have thousands of gemstones because when I wrote my book,
That's enough quartz to run like multiple operating systems. You know, you have like a
Earthly and the gemstones. You can find it on Amazon. I'm plugging it right now. And it's about this character. He's a gnome and he travels the planet and he gets gemstones. Like here's the peace gem. So when I did this initially, I had little pouches and I had the 6 gemstones. So now I just have them for myself and I give them away. People say, oh, you should sell those. Those are each $5. I said, no, I want to give these to people, right? You've seen me, Mike.
yeah.
Like so this is what I found that's interesting, what I read about, just so you know. Gemstones are really useful near your routers and it blocks electromagnetic fields. So, you know, it's not for nothing
for
that I have
for anybody out there that comes to see Mary Amy live, you'll leave with some crystal bling. You will leave with some physical, actual crystals. She's going to load you up. She's going to fill your pockets up with crystals.
I do. I mean, I'll be giving them out. So, you know, everyone out there, if you live in New York, Pelham is only, it's maybe 45 minutes from Manhattan. Come out and come to this dinner show. This is going to be so interesting. We'll be giving readings. It's going to be a whole lot of fun.
What else do they have to do? What do you have to do on a Wednesday? It's a Wednesday. Come out and hang out with us on a Wednesday.
June 10th. It's
Wednesday. Not like we're taking up your Friday or Saturday evening.
Right.
It's a Wednesday.
The doors open up. I hope that he knows because we're at 8:02. Where is he?
He's in California. He's on California time, man. He's surfing.
I hope that he knows that to now. I hope that he knows it's now. Oh, there he is. There he is. There he is. Speak of Troy. I was just saying, where is he?
He's psychic. Of course, he just jumped on right when you mentioned his name.
Because I messaged him when he came.
Right. Everybody out there watching is going to think we set that up. You know, like we purposely did that.
You're on. You're on.
Did hello.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
What is up, Troy? How are you? See, our audience is going to think we set that up. As soon as Mary Amy said your name and she was going to see if you were linking on, you immediately popped on like we psychically all tuned in and linked up.
You know how it goes. I got to get set up on my side.
So I apologize for a lag in my video. For some reason, my camera's acting up tonight, but my voice is in time.
Yeah, I see you. You look good.
I'll try to sit still so I don't freeze up with any like weird facial expressions or anything. But how are you, man? How's California treating you?
California's good. A little cold these mornings, but good. How about you on the East Coast?
Nice. We are in, I guess, the influx of Mother Nature not knowing what she wants to do.
Yeah.
One day we'll have 80 degrees, the next day we'll have 40. So we're still in that variable, I guess, season.
40 is too cold.
Yes. But it is gradually warming up and staying a little more consistent. All the flowers are blooming, so I'm hoping it's progressively warmer and warmer each day.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say in regard to the weather, my favorite time of the year after the winter, and like now I go downstairs and there's a big porch and I sit there with a coffee and I like the cold weather and I like when it rains in the morning. And then, but that's in the morning. And then later, I hope it gets warmer.
No, we get down to about 60 here and we all have to put on our coats and jackets and long johns and we're freezing.
So now, Troy, are you lifelong California resident or where did you originally grow up?
I actually spent most of my time in Colorado. So
okay.
Yeah, it was too
Colorado
cold.
and then migrated over?
I've been coming to LA for about 30 years with my radio show and entertainment career. So I spent a lot of time in California. So it just kind of made sense to migrate. Once the kid left home, there was no reason to have a big house anymore. And
Mm.
so I came over to the beach.
Nice.
Yeah. That's
So
what
you
makes it
love,
so cold.
Once you go to the shore, you don't want to leave.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So it's
well,
good. Good, good, good. And everything back there is good.
Yeah,
here,
everything on the East Coast.
everything's great. I have to
Yeah,
tell you, what's interesting is you like the beach. I live across the street from the beach, and Michael lives not. How far are you from the beach, Mike?
I'm pretty close.
Yeah.
Couple
So
minutes
I
away.
have to be
Yeah.
near water. I have to be near water.
Yeah,
But
I'm a water baby. Yeah, I'm a few blocks from the beach, not too far, but I have to be a water baby. So I got to have that water. And for me, I don't know about you, but when I go to the beach, it's refreshing. It allows me to semi meditate, and the waves take the negativity out, and then waves coming in bring out positivity. So it's a good place for me.
yes, I agree
Yeah,
with you.
yeah.
Well, this is a
Well,
long time coming because I guess maybe it was maybe 6 months ago. I saw you online and I was so curious about you, and then it turned out you know
hmm
Michael, and this after reading your bio, wow, 600 unresolved cases. That is something. That is some achievement, and also probably pretty intense to deal with that kind of thing, because that means that usually a case means that something tragic has happened and someone's missing or something has gone wrong. And how did you end up? I mean, I'm just gonna jump into that. I know Mike has a whole lot of
We're gonna
questions.
we're gonna we're gonna we're gonna deep dive it, but you know what? Let's rewind this even a little farther back than that, because
okay.
what I find fascinating is just the journey and the similarities that we've had, kind of navigating the lines of spirituality and religion, and
hmm
I think it's a topic that is coming to the forefront more and more. I think there's a lot of misperceptions, around it, and I think people like you and I are trying to bring the truth to the surface, but I'm curious. So the medium's journey, no two mediums journey is the same, and we all have our own unique path, but I find some similarities will bring certain people together, and I'm curious. So like me, you grew up in a Catholic household. So what
Well,
was your childhood like? What was like the spiritual
let's
connection versus the
back up.
religious? Was like,
All
take
right.
us on
So
a little
yeah.
bit of that journey.
Okay, take you on a journey. So I didn't grow up in a spiritual household. It's a little bit different there. But my wife is a preacher's daughter. So big family, very religious. And so that's kind of where it was interesting at first. So I come from a Christian background. So I do tell people that I am a Christian and that is my base. And of course, that's by choice. I studied world religion and I just fell into Christianity. So my wife, it was interesting. The first time I met her large family for dinner, I just came in from California from doing my radio show. And so they had an impression of me being from California. Was I hippie, whatever. And so that's really what led me. So my journey into this line of work is I met somebody in a gift shop who asked me questions on a missing person case that for some reason at the age of 40 just came out that this person was deceased and how it happened and went forward. So, I came home not knowing where it came from. How did I knew I was intuitive my whole life. We all do. And I knew that I would answer people's questions and get them right. But I just chalked it up to gut feeling. And, I have a wife from a religious family. Her brother's a pastor. His dad was a pastor. But so really what happened is, again, I just did a lot of soul searching and praying and just asked in my prayers that if this was my calling, then I was going to do it. And that's how I stepped into the light. That's been 20 years ago, almost 21 years ago.
It's interesting because that's something that Mary and I talk about a lot. It's almost as if your soul just keeps pulling you back into it. You know what you're calling, and there's just this underlying pull to want to be of service or to help. And how did you navigate it with your wife's family? Like, how did it come out to be, hey, I'm a medium, this is something I'm doing, I'm not crazy, I'm trying to do this in God's love and light? Like, what were the dynamics there like?
So the dynamics there were is I just started to work on cases, and my wife would see me work on cases, and just kind of get an idea what I do. But what really changed this is probably, so at that time I was married almost 15 years, and so at that time, what really changed her is I did a group reading, public group reading, and she saw how people came into the group reading, and me answering their questions and how they left, their energy changed, positive, able to move on, found closure. So she saw that, and that's when she really got it. As far as the religious side of the family, honestly, it's nothing we really talk about. I've talked to her brother, who's a pastor, about it. And I don't know about your readings, but a lot of my readings, because I deal with tragedy and death, religion comes into my readings a lot. And so, the question is, how can God do this? Whatever it may be. And so we talk about religion in my readings. So my pastor and brother-in-law, and this may go for you guys, said, have you ever thought about that you are ministering, but in a different way than traditionally, in helping people? And so when he said that to me, it made more sense that I am ministering God's people, just like you guys do. And so with that, I can reconcile the both. And, I've been written up around the world about saying I'm a Christian. As a matter of fact, I was working on an article. So it was my way of kind of I can't say the word, but putting those two together. And it just really came to probably where you guys are, that if I'm doing something wrong, then I'll answer for it in my religious belief at the end. But I feel like what we do, us real ones, is we do make a difference. We are ministering in our own way. And I think that's what my God would want me to do.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love the way you explain that. And yeah, I think when you can show someone the continuity of life exists beyond this physical realm, and they're grieving someone or feeling they're disconnected, and then you can show them that they're still connected, and they want to connect to them as much as the loved one in spirit wants to come back and try to imprint their energy, then it shifts the whole dynamic of the grief. And yeah, I mean, there's just so much power in that, and I think it's a divine gift. And I think if we truly want to be connected to God, I think it's going to be in a supernatural, mystical way, don't you think? And I think if the crazy thing is, if we look at like the Bible, or we think about like Jesus, he was supernatural and mystical, and people want to not look at the Bible as like this supernatural, mystical book. And it just kind of blows my mind, and yeah, I think you're right. I think if we're doing this work in like the love and light of God, and everything is, trying to do it in that way and be of service, then, yeah, I'll answer to my Creator at the end. And if, there's something I'm not doing right in my Creator's eyes, then I'll answer to it at that point. But yeah, I think there's a lot of misconceptions, a lot of misperceptions around what we do. Where do you see this going, Troy? Where do you see like this blend or this mix of, spirituality and religion, and more people starting to open to this or becoming more mainstream? Like, where, obviously being in California and Hollywood and in the mix of this, and a lot of this so recently, over like the last decade or so, we've seen it become so prevalent. I think good and bad. I think some of it, you and I have talked about this, a little bit of the disservice that some of it's done, but I think on the other sense, at least it's opening the conversation. Like, where do you see it going? Where do you see this whole sensationalized Hollywood version of spirituality versus what's really happening versus, where do you intuitively see this unfolding? Not to put you on the spot or anything.
Yeah, that's a deep question. That's a real deep question. That's a deep question.
Do you think we're going to find a little cohesiveness between the spirituality and religion? Are people going to start to maybe at least
I
want to listen and see what the other person has to say. I mean, it's just, I don't know.
I
You know, I'm wondering what you're seeing like out on the West Coast.
so I think we are going that direction, and I think a lot of it isn't just necessarily religion. I think it's a matter of what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fear, uncertainty, and people are just searching for answers. So, as far as the Hollywood, like you said, yes, I have all those that I distance myself from. To be honest with you, we've had this conversation before. I don't really associate with the ones in Hollywood. But I think that it's going, and again, I think that religion is coming back into play because people have legitimate concerns. And so they're looking at options or maybe a source that can help them with their questions, with their answers. And so I think that we're going more that direction. I think with the Gen Zs, they're very much open. Statistically, they don't seem to have a religion per se, but I think a lot of it is just with what's going on in the world and people seeking answers.
Mm. I know Mary Amy's. I know she's got a ton of questions about like the doing the intuitive investigating and the criminal aspect of this. And I know we're going to get into that. But I had to let a little bit of this unfold first.
But before we go there, what's interesting, and you must be psychic, which you both are. I just got on a Facebook this morning. Sometimes it pops up these little notices. Was it Facebook? I'm not sure what it was, but a notice came up about an article that was written about me in religion, and it was for Christianity Today, and I think it was 15 years ago, where some gal put out, "Beware of Christians who say they're psychics and blah, blah, blah." And I brought it up, and I remember when that article came out, and I was, of course, the example, and not the first time, so I'm okay. But I thought to myself, probably this is, of course, later in my career. And I said, I'm going to reach out to this reporter, which I never have really done before. And I said, I'm just going to see if she wants to talk to me. And of course, I got crickets. So I think the reason it popped up is because then I went and looked this article up online, and she rewrote almost the same article about me just last year. And this is some girl I don't even know, won't even talk to me. But, it gives me the opportunity to let people know, look, I do get written up about negatively. You can believe this, or you can believe me, or you can take both. It's up to you. But again, what I think these people don't realize is it's allowing me an opportunity to spread my work even further, even though it's negative press, because now I can come in and put my arguments into this or what I've accomplished compared to X, Y, and Z. And so it's interesting you brought that up because that just came up today.
See, for me, I think of when people kind of label things, it bothers me more because I don't make generalizations. And for the public out there, if they put things as this is religious, this is spiritual, this is psychics and intuitives and mediums, really all of this is just really love. So for me, if I get lost, I was raised Roman Catholic. I can't consider myself Christian. What I mean by that is I'm compassionate. I want to help other people. I want to forgive. I want the best thing no matter what someone does. I want things to be better for everyone. Mm-hmm. So when I get lost, or if I say, wait, what's going on here? Then I go right back to the love. I go back to what is my mission. But really, people get so confused because really, I believe religions, or at least Christian is supposed to be about love and caring about others and helping other people. It doesn't have to be so built up into this, us and them kind of thing. So I think that's awesome that the ministry, I'm actually an ordained minister, so I could have a church. Mm-hmm. Yep. And Michael is too. And it was fascinating. The order of the McKelt something, it's MEL something I got ordained through. And that experience was life-changing. The moment I signed up for this course, after I had gotten into energy healing Reiki, I started having these very strange experiences with light coming into my system, where I'd close my eyes at night and I would see light. I'd open my eyes, it'd be pitch black. And I continued to have angels visit me and divine energies. So for me, when I think of all this, like I said, we were talking about, exposing people, or what's going on in the East Coast, what's going on here. Everything just starts like grassroots with one person. So just us talking about this is like the butterfly effect, right? It's going to, the wings are flapping and it's going to shift to somebody, a few people that are watching tonight. Maybe they'll talk about it with someone else. Or even if they take one shred of what we're saying and then they start to question things. And that's where it comes in, because we just have to tune into ourselves. Now, about questions here for you. I have many. So let's go back to what I was asking, because I want to go down. I want to know. So what was the first, when you were, how old were you when you said you started really exploring this side of you? Were you how old?
You're not supposed to ask age.
No, I didn't mean that. I thought you said something about age, or maybe I missed something.
I was.
It's not about age.
I just turned 40 years old.
Oh, okay.
So,
you just turned 40 years old. So you can't, and the reason why I was asking about that is you can't tell me that was the first time. Like, what happened before that? Did you open up a closet door and all these things came out of it and you were like, hey, where were you? Like, who are you? What was the instances or circumstances?
Well, for me, I always knew I was intuitive like you guys. And I really, when I look back, I probably knew it at 6th grade. So growing up, I had a lot of friends that were psychic, and that was back in the psychic phone lines with the Dionne Warwick and stuff. And I always said, no, not for me. So I've always answered questions for people, but I never called them a reading. It just comes, maybe like you guys do, just naturally. It just comes. I don't have to think about it. I don't channel. I don't do any of that stuff. So again, at 40, I just went into this gift shop to get my wife an anniversary card, and the lady there read cards, and I don't do cards, and honestly, I don't know anything about them. And her friend came in and asked if I was a psychic, and for some reason, I said yes. And she said, I'm working on a case in the Bronx Police Department for somebody that's missing. And just what came through was she was deceased, and she was hit with a pipe, and the guy didn't work for a pipe company, blah, 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 blah. And so I guess it opened the closet door. It just flooded out. And so, of course, a long drive home, my 10-minute drive seemed like 2 hours, because I just couldn't figure out where it came from, what I actually said, because again, a lot of it's not for us. We're just the messenger. And so that's how it started. It just opened the floodgates. So I never usually dream, but I had a dream about another case in the Finger Lakes area. And I went and worked on that online a little bit, and got response about, hey, you said there was a barefoot print with a, sports shoe print, and, we're the ones who found it. We have pictures of police. So it just went from there. And that's just where I had to spend a lot of time soul searching and praying, because I knew what comes with using the word psychic. I thought about what comes with the family. But again, it was just a matter of, if I can help people move forward, clarity, this is my calling, do it. So for me, I've used it my whole life. And I've always told people that, look, if I can help one person move forward or find closure, I would do my whole life over again, because that's just what's in me. And so it just ended up all making sense that I go into this work. So I spent most of my career as a criminal intuitive or true crime intuitive. Is where I spent my time. I did decide a few years after I started doing this that I would open up a private practice. And I did do that. But as Michael said earlier, what's interesting is when you try to do something else, because like you guys have other interests, but when I try to do something else, it always pulls me back. And so that's been, a 20+ year journey. And so again, I think it's part of our calling. I think it definitely is who we are. And so, yeah, so the closet door open or the floodgate open and it just came out.
Do you like working on those kinds of cases? Do you feel
Mm.
like it's an accomplishment, or is it a tough road?
So, I didn't work on cold cases for a couple of years because you do get burnt out. Um, and a lot of the reason I get burnt out in what I do, the short answer is yes, I like working on the cases because I like the challenge. And
Mm.
I'm probably a lot like Michael is I like to get in and see what's in somebody's mind. This may sound terrible, but I have a serial killer case that I've spoken to a few times over the year, and I just like getting into his mind when he's trying to get into mine. So yes, what I don't like and what really burnt me out is there's so much politics involved. So every cold case has a lot of politics. Everybody has an opinion. And that's the part that really I think after 20 years burnt me out for a couple of years, is the politics and the opinions. Um, but yes, through these 600 cold cases, it's taken me around the world, and it's been some of the best experiences in my life. Not the situations, not the cold case, but just being able to provide clues and answers and suspects, and just knowing that the work you do most of the time have a positive effect or can help the agency try to bring justice. Now, I say try to bring justice because for me personally, I don't really think justice is served until a jury has made the determination. And I don't get to watch the cases or follow them for years and years and years and all the politics, but I do know in my personal experience, like you guys, have we solved cases? Yes. But just getting that information, just telling the victim's story, going through the victim, I remote view and I tell their story, and that's where I get the satisfaction.
Can you share a few instances of how you received certain pieces of information and then how that kind of unfolded around the investigation or
Sure. So,
yeah.
so how I work, and I'll just tell you how I work, is that when I'm contacted, I just ask for the missing person flyer or photo and the last known location. So for me, like you guys, it's all natural. So if I can connect through the victim's eyes in the photo or the flyer and know the last known location, I can remote view. For me, it comes naturally, and it always has been natural for me. So I will go to Google Maps, I'll put in the last known location, and then I just let the intuition take over. And I let it just guide me to places, things. It brings in people. Sometimes I get names, sometimes I don't, but I do get descriptions. Was there 10 people around them? Was there five? So for me, it's just give me those two pieces of information. And then if I can connect, then I can just go from that information into my investigation.
You're a good soul.
Thank you.
That
Sometimes I
is,
wonder.
no, you are, because that's a gift and you're using it in a really positive way to help other people. Because when people lose someone and they don't have answers, it's crippling. And you, I'm sure, give answers, even if they're bad answers sometimes. Maybe they're good answers, but they're answers. And that's amazing. That is amazing.
I always explain to people, I'm not going to give you false hope. And you're right. I may not give you the answers that you want. And that's not always my job. My job is to speak my truth, what comes through spirit for you. And it may hurt you. Absolutely. And I have hurt people on these cases, the families or the friends, because I'll tell you a case now. I had a case I did probably 15 years ago where a mother, police brought me in because it was an overdose. The mother kept insisting that he stayed at a friend's house and that friend's father was an anesthesiologist. So the mother kept insisting that the anesthesiologist gave him drugs. He overdosed from a heart attack. And, I didn't give her the answer she wanted because it wasn't the parent. It was a kid smoking pot downstairs. He had an enlarged heart, probably from other drugs. And just, it just came back. This is like his 10th year anniversary. And because I didn't give her the answer she wanted, she posts about how fake I am and how terrible I am. But when I go back to that, I just want to go back and say, I told you the truth.
Mm.
You need to get over it. So you don't always give the answers they want. And I can't. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to give you false hope. And what I give you, if you don't like, then, I've been written up all around the world. Just add it to my list of articles online. But again, I have to be truthful to myself and my God first and foremost. And then I'm going to give you the truth that comes through. Am I always accurate? No, I'm not always accurate. I'm human too. And I do make mistakes. But I'm going to do the best to try to help you or help the agency get justice for you.
Did you come from a family, or do you remember there being any family members that had a gift like this?
I think my grandmother may have, but I never met her. But in my family, I don't have a close family at all, so I don't know much about them. But I do think my grandmother on one side may have been gifted.
Are you creative too? Are you a painter or something artistic?
I feel like I'm creative, but what my creativity is, I still haven't figured out yet. Um,
Still an
you know,
unfolding journey.
yeah, my life's still a journey. I always say I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. Creativity is in that arena, but I just don't know where or how yet.
So now our topic of conversation for this episode was intuition.
Okay.
Now, any of our listeners that are out there that are trying to key in on, the energy of a situation around them, or thinking they're getting some kind of psychic hit on something, or they're keying in on a piece of information, what would be your recommendation, Troy, of just kind of tuning in or letting go, or someone wanting to explore intuition? What would be the first step, you would say?
So I always tell people that ask me that question is, let it flow naturally. Try to separate your human mind from the spiritual side. Separate your body from your soul. And then I tell people like that: if you get a hit or you get information, write it down, keep a note, and start looking at what's happened. Look for the clues. We get clues, and a lot of times, as intuitives, we have to put the clues together. And we don't know when they're going to come through, how they're going to go through. So I tell people, if you're starting or you think you have intuition, write them down. If it's a clue, just watch it, let it come through naturally, and then go back and see what it was, where you've been, and see if you can't connect or build that self worth or that trust in yourself from what you've written down.
And I know, just from my own experience as a medium, sometimes the hardest thing to do is bring that crazy piece of information through that just is going to make you sound absurd, or people are going to think you're out of your mind. But if you don't share it, it could be like that crucial detail that, I should have brought that through, or why didn't I say it? What was that moment for you, or what was that like crazy wild piece of information that you were hitting on? You knew you were getting it, but you didn't bring it up, and then later on it unfolded around a case or a situation.
That's a good question, and I don't think I can answer that, because for me, I think like you guys, it just is so natural to me. It just comes through.
And you're just saying it.
I've never really thought about it that way.
Okay.
I mean, I may have 20 years ago, but it's like you guys, it's just who I am. And so when things come through,
bring it through.
I just let you know.
Yeah.
And that's just me.
Okay. No, so I think that kind of answers it. Like anyone out there listening, it would be when you get a hit, or you're tuning in, or you get a piece of information, just trust it, right? Don't overthink it. Don't worry about it. Just let that information flow through, right?
Absolutely. And that's why I suggest write it down, go back and look at it. I do tell people, if it's something that you feel like somebody needs to know, and I really don't get into people's personal space. I think that's your personal space, and I should be asked or invited, unless I think it's something that's going to harm you, maybe harm a family member. So then I say, if it's a piece of information like that, then let them know. Or if it's something that could be, that could have maybe a positive side or a fun side to it, if you just want to test, then put it out there and see what the response is. I always tell people, look, if you get a hit, let's use an example. You get a hit that your coworker is going to come out of the bathroom with toilet tissue on their shoe. Tell them that you had this vision And if it happens, then laugh about it. So I tell people, you never know what's going to come through. It could, I'd say, play with your intuition as much as use it for positive and good. So I tell people, just write down what your hits are. But for me, if you're going to get injured, somebody's going to get injured, then I just feel like, hey, be careful, watch this. And I tell people, so when you get information, just look at how you can bring it into the conversation, or is it going to be straightforward? Like, people are always going to look at you crazy because, look, let's face it, welcome to the world of crazy in this
Yeah.
universe. People think we're crazy. I wonder sometimes if I'm crazy. I don't know about you guys. And so I tell people, just, welcome to the world of crazy. So spit it out, put it out there and see what happens.
Yep.
So,
because you're well known in what you do, have you had, I'm sure you have had circumstances in which someone's contacting you and then someone else is contacting you to solve a case, and then there's a conflict, and is there sometimes power struggles between that for you and for the people that are asking you, where they're kind of fighting over you?
yeah, that does happen. And again, I don't necessarily have a power struggle, because what the bottom line comes in is I'm doing it for the victim. And so it's me trying to find answers and clues and suspects and get this case closed to justice from the victim. So the human side and the chatter coming in, I get people that, yeah, the agency hires me, but the family is looking for more revenge or trying to push somebody on me. And I just say, look, that is just chatter to me. I'm doing this for X, Y, and Z, and I'm going to use what comes through for them. You guys can duke it out, fight it out, however way you guys want to work with it, but that's not my job.
Ethical.
Yeah. You have to be. You have to be, because a lot of people, and you guys have this in general readings, a lot of people will come in for unethical things, or they do want the power struggle. And those usually are the ones that think they know more than you, or and I don't have time for that. If I'm going to work on the case, it's because I truly connect to the victim and I'm doing it for them.
You have in your bio life how do you say that?
Strategist.
Strategist. Why am I saying strategist? Yeah. Tell us about that.
So throughout my life, I bring my life strategies in because I have been through a lot. I've been through successful businesses. I've been through some interesting situations. I've been through mafia issues, non-issues. So within my personal life and then my upbringing, um, I became a life coach 15, 20 years ago, but I can't life coach. I'll tell you why in a minute. But it just felt like, when I read for my clients, I don't just necessarily give you straight answers, yes, no. You're gonna, let's look at what's going forward. What's your life looking at? Where do you want to go? Where do we see you going? So I try to bring a little coaching into my readings for personal clients. And so, I'm trying to help them see where they're at and where they could go, discuss what happens. So that's where my life strategy comes in, is more on the coaching side. That, let's see how we can coach you going forward. Let's talk about your past. I mean, we all have a past. But a lot of times in my life strategy sessions, it's, look, your past is making you who you are today, which will allow you to do X, Y, and Z in the future.
That's so helpful. You have this skill set here and then this other skill set, and it's you're coaching, but are you also receiving information while you're coaching them?
Absolutely. I always joke around because, are any of you guys a life coach?
I'm a intuitive wisdom coach. Well, I do.
Yeah, we both, I think, incorporated into our practices.
So,
yeah, and that's what makes us very good at what we do from the rest. But I always tell people, I went through life coaching school, and they give you this, and they say you need your clients for 12 months, and you need to do this and this. And I always say it doesn't work for me, because when you come in, probably like you guys, I already know what the problem is. I already know the root. So I can't keep you for 12 months, because we're going to discuss in this visit, or maybe another one, what the root is. And then it takes time to change. It takes time to move forward. So I always tell people, when you come to me, I'm happy to coach you, but I'm not going to keep you on a contract for 12 months. I'm not going to send you these forms. We're going to talk about the root of the problem or the issue. We'll discuss about maybe ways to move forward, your strategy forward, and then let's convene and see where you are, 6 months or a year, because you have to initiate this, you have to do it, and it takes time. So
100%.
so for me as a coach, it's like, yeah, I'm not your typical coach. Plus, for me, maybe it's a Mel thing. I don't, Michael, if you do this, but I'm not into all the fluff. I don't want you to tell me hours of the fluff behind it or the god. Let's just go right for the issue is, and let's look at moving forward.
Mhm. Do you know
And
anything
what I
about?
like about that,
Go
I
ahead,
think
you.
you empower your client, right? You're
Mhm.
empowering your client. They're not becoming dependent on you, and you're trying to allow them to kind of find their own path, and you're kind of helping and assisting them do that. And I think that's probably the most powerful teachers are doing it in that way, right?
Well, we have to. But look, I always say if you get stuck or have a question, email me. You know, is this how I make my living? Yes. I don't charge for my gifts. I charge for my time. So it is how I make a living. But if you just have a simple question that you're email me. I don't mind answering it. I mean, I'm here to help you move forward. So again, I have to empower them, but also know that I'm the support on the back end.
Mm.
If you just have a question, email me. It's fine. If we have to go into a session, let's just start with 15 minutes. But again, people need to change, and sometimes it takes some months. Sometimes it takes some years. So for me, let's not keep having the same old conversation because you're not listening or you're not moving forward. So yes, I want to empower them and then see how they're doing.
Do you
Okay.
think law enforcement is becoming more and more open to working with psychics, mediums, and going these non-traditional routes to try to investigate a case?
Um, it's still a struggle, and really, it is a struggle because of belief systems. It's a personal beliefs. It's what do they feel like. So it's still a little bit of a struggle. But one thing, and you guys know this from your work when you work on this, is that you'll never get credit for what you do because, again, they have to look at the community and what would the community think if a detective said, "Oh, a psychic solved this case." So
Mhm.
it's still, unfortunately, what we do, people out there, they still are very black and white on religious beliefs. And so it really just depends on the detective or the agent. So I don't know if they're using us more with the technology coming out and what they can do now. Um, I don't know. I don't know.
And
What
it's kind of
technology?
funny though, if you think about like the CIA, these military operations, different things that have been going on since what the 50s, 60s,
Yeah.
and they're still trying to keep it quiet. Remote viewers,
When I
psychics.
when I did remote work for the federal government, I had to sign a statement that I would keep it quiet. I could never
Mm.
tell anybody. But yet people know we did it. So it's again, it's I guess the perception of others that really keep all this quiet.
Hmm. Okay,
Now,
now I would like to ask a question, Mike. Just let me ask this question.
yeah. You're good. You're good.
Because I want to ask him. Because I don't know how long we're going to have him. So, do you know anything about your past lives? I saw 3 things about you. So I
Okay.
saw when you came on initially, and I wasn't, and like you had said earlier, it
See,
just
Troy, you
happened.
didn't know you were going to get a reading, right?
No, I'm happy.
It just happened. Well, no, I mean,
No, I'm
I'm not
kidding.
going to bore you with this because but so when I first saw you come in, I saw the back of you, and you were opening up all these drawers. They were drawers like this big, and you were
Hmm.
opening, looking, and you were and there was maybe 9 of them, I want to say, right? That's what I saw. And then the next thing I saw halfway through the conversation, or half, was gold mining. Like you were going, and it was so interesting because you are not someone who's looking for that. I mean, maybe the gold is also searching too, right? Here you're searching
Hmm.
for something in these drawers, and then now you had this on your head the light on your head, and so that's, I'm like, is that his past life? And then I just saw the last thing I saw was puppets, like you're with puppets, puppet. So I don't know. It's interesting. So maybe the first is you're searching for answers, obviously, but I'm seeing this in a scenario, like in a story, right? A film. And then the next is you, which I wondered, I got past life with that. Like you were in the mines looking for gold back in the day. And then the puppets is you're telling a story, maybe. I don't know. So
I'm still looking for the gold. I'm still looking for the gold, Katie. Give me an idea. I'll go dig.
I think you are the gold.
Are you remote viewing a treasure map there, Mary?
Yeah, exactly. Can you send it to me without Michael seeing it?
It's like, you know what? Who knows what'll happen? And I'll just, because I said, you know, I know I have things to tell this man, but I'm just going to tell him now because I'm not good at holding things. I'm not about surprises. It's more like, let's just get to it. But it's interesting. And that's not average for me. I mean, more things are happening to me. And I was sharing that before we came on. And that's probably part of what happens to all of us who have tapped into this, who are receiving these physical sensations, and our clair senses are on fire. And it might be other parts of our life come together, and then it makes us better at this. But I'm starting to get a whole other feed of information. And
I think that's happening to us because of what's happening out here in the world.
Yeah.
There's so much going on out here that I think we are opening up more, or we're seeing, let's say, different dimensions, different things. And I think it really is what's going on in the universe, the world right now. I won't say universe because it's so vast, but what's going on in our world today, I think it is opening us up more, because we are part of the ones who are supposed to help, who's supposed to make a difference. And so it's bringing us that knowledge or those visions to help others.
That's interesting. That kind of borders up on the question I had. Is now not to put you on the spot, Troy, but obviously you're pretty keyed in on the pulse of the industry. You know, we'll say the spiritual market. You know, healers, psychics, mediums. Where do you see this going, like over the next 20 years? Like, what can we do as psychics, mediums, as people in this industry to try to, I guess, try to do this in the best way, try to do this in the love and light of God, you know, try to eliminate the misperceptions? Like, what do you think we can do better? Where do you think the journey should go?
I think really where the journey needs to go is people like us who are truly gifted need to be heard and seen. We need to let the world know that we're not all the flashing storefront $5 psychic, that there are people like us who really do make a difference, and it really does come from God and spirit and from our heart. And I think it's really, we have to stand up and be more prevalent. We have to be more out there, more open, and take the bad with the good. And so I think over the next 20 years, you know, I think it's going to continue unless we start speaking out, and speaking out as a group, as a whole, not all individually. And so if we can do that, then I think we're going to be, you know, start to get accepted more in the world, in the community, that we truly have gifts. But since history, we've always had this dark side to it too. So again, I think really for us to really make a difference going forward, and 20 years later for us to be very prevalent and in the mainstream, I think we just have to be more open, more visible, and, you know, encourage others like us to do the same thing.
Suzanne Savage wrote, Troy, you have so much honesty and integrity. So nice to hear information from a relatable human being. So enjoyable to hear your stories.
Well, that's nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Mike's quiet.
I don't want to.
I see a lot of stuff going. See it looks like the comments have their own conversation going. We got a whole
I guess that's
going
a good
on
thing.
in there. I can't
That's
see the
funny.
full feed. I can't see the Facebook feed on my computer, but
We can see your face though, Mike. Up there he is.
you can.
Yeah.
I'm freezing up though. I don't. Yeah, I think the new computer is going to be set up hopefully over the next couple days, because I'm locking up and I'm seeing my face in like these weird positions, or like I have a weird itch, and then all of a sudden I look like picking my nose or something. But it's all good. It's all right. It's all good. We
Makes
got
it
Troy on the
interesting.
episode tonight. It doesn't
Makes
matter if
it
my camera's
interesting.
freezing up.
It's
And
all
I
good.
don't look the greatest either.
We're human. We're human. As long as we're human, that's all
Yes,
that
we
matters.
are. And
And
I
that's
definitely feel being
No,
human
we
every day
appreciate it.
as I get
We
older.
appreciate
Wait,
we
what'd you say
appreciate
about
your
being human?
insight, Troy. And no, it's cool because this is how long have you been doing like mediumship and blending the whole Hollywood thing? Like, you've been at this a long time. What was like, take us back to when you first jumped in. What was the difference between what you saw at the beginning to what you're seeing now?
Oh, yeah.
Well, man, why do you ask these tough questions?
I got to put you on the spot a little bit, I
I
got
mean,
to put you on the spot
I
a
can't
little bit.
remember yesterday, and you want me to remember almost 25 years ago?
Well, was it news? Did they first say like, we want to do an interview, we heard about you, or was it a newspaper article, or were you like interviewed and at a scene of something? What was
Did the information, like for the initial like first cold cases you started doing, like were they so crazy? Like, was the information so spot on that you just kind of started getting a reputation? Like, you got to check this guy out, or like, what's going
Yeah,
on
so
with him? Or
that's
is that
so in our business, and I guess in any business, is that the woman that asked me the question went back and told the Bronx Police Department what I said. So they wanted to work with me and not her. So she became, unfortunately, unfriend. But it was really the second case that was more publicized through social media. And I just piped in with a few things. And then we talked about the bare footprint and print. And that's when the PD at that particular case contacted me. And then articles start being read. Local media started writing about me. Um, and just over my life, unfortunately, when I go on an investigation, I personally don't say where I'm going to win, but the media seems to know before me. So I always have a lot of media around, and they just started writing. And then I had articles published all over. And then I started to do interviews, mostly from the UK. And then one of my biggest breaks came when the New York Post wrote about me. And that opened up a lot. And then I went on to ABC, and they did a show on me. And then it really just snowballed from there, that my name was getting out there, and then people wrote about me. And again, most of the early days were that I say I'm a Christian. That was mostly the early days. So for me, it just really, again, from falling into this place, this time, everything happens for a reason, and the time and space and where it's all dictated from God. So I just fell into it. So that's how my career actually took off, is just really working on this case, and then doing the social media. And then I would get inquiries from agencies, government, police departments that would just say, hey, can you look at this? So when I started my career, I didn't have the self trust in myself. And I think that's a problem with a lot of us, that I would just look at them for free. And then it just came to the point that I was having so many cases coming to me that it got to the point, hey, I need to pay my bills, so I'm happy to do this. And again, then it just has snowballed, and that's what's driven my career.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, one interesting point back in what was it, 2020, 2021, when we had all these crazy social media crazes firing off. We had like reality TV kicking off when the pandemic was hitting, and we had, was it the Lion King, or what was that social media sensation that show that hit? And
tiger guy, the tiger, something tiger.
Yeah,
Oh
was it
no,
the Tiger
you
King
have
that
to
you
bring
got
this
pulled
up,
into?
don't you?
No,
You have to
that's
bring
what
this
I'm
up, don't you?
Michael, he's talking about
Okay. No, I say that because
conversation.
the funny thing about this, when I've mentioned your name to a couple people, they're like so blown away that was like, I guess. Now Take us on a little bit of that journey. You blew open like a cold case, right? Wasn't it a cold case? You don't have to talk about it if you don't want to, but I think people find this fascinating and intriguing.
All right.
Oh my Lord.
So the first case I got on TG was one of the zookeepers who was, you're really putting me on a spot here. I investigated one of the zookeepers who shot themselves in the head in the first show.
Oh, wow.
And so I did that investigation because his father really touched my heart, wanting answers, not in good health. And so I did work on that case. And then I thought I was done with it. I thought it was quiet. Nobody would know. I didn't watch The Tiger King, so I didn't know anything about it. And then a few years later, moving forward from that, I get an inquiry, an email that says, would you be interested in working on a highly publicized case? And my first answer, which I say a lot, is no. Nope. And then the email came back, and it was a very sweet email. And it was from Carol Baskin, who's the Tiger King woman. And it was from her husband, Don, who went missing. And so I agreed to do it. So my intuition didn't tell me, but when I flew down to Florida and got to the hotel, there was a filming crew from Netflix there. And so being put on the spot. So I did work on that case, and I did, look, it was the worst case I have ever worked on. And I say it's the worst case I ever worked on, not because of all the TV publicity and how Netflix made me look. It's because this is a case that took me out of doing cold cases as much as I did. It's because the people involved in this were the bottom of the barrel. I have never met people that are so evil, so almost soulless throughout this experience, that it made the worst case I ever worked on. As far as the case goes, I did work with the family. Netflix crew took me all around town, show me places, but really what it came down to at the end is I had going through location to location. I'll give you an example. I went to one location and there was a couch detective that somehow got involved with the family and whatever. He drove out from Oklahoma just because he heard I was going to be there. Of course, media's there. And we went to a site, and I go to the site, and I just knew that this was a place that had history of KKK and the flag burning and the trucks. And as I was explaining that to the daughter, he tried to pipe in and said, no, this is where they killed Don at. Don Lewis was his name. And I'd be, no. And within a few seconds, the producer from the production company came up and said, no, we also have the same information in our research that this was owned by KKK, blah, blah, blah. So through the whole investigation, I wrote up my report like normal, and I turned it in, and I said, look, this person was put in a barrel of acid, and here's how I validated that with this person and what was there, blah, blah, blah. And then that he's in the tiger sanctuary in the pond or lake there. How do I feel it was in acid is because Carol Baskins went on and did a Facebook conversation with two quote unquote mobile home investors, because she invests in mobile homes. And she said, when you buy a property, make sure you don't have to clean it up, because I had to clean one up so I know how the EPA works and what they use and don't use. And I thought, okay, that all fills into this. So I give all the information to the detective. Netflix is done filming. About a week later, I get a call and say, hey, you need to watch this channel because the sheriff in this county is doing a press release. And it was interesting. I think this is what put me over the edge, is that when he was doing his press conference, it's almost like he was reading my notes verbatim. I mean, this, and this. And then one of the journalists said, well, we know that psychic Troy worked on this case. What do you think? And he said, I don't believe in psychics at all. I think they're fake, a waste of time. And I'm just like, dude, you're reading everything I gave you. And, just at that point, from the politics and everything and the people, it's just like, maybe I need to give this a break because this is the one that broke me. But,
see, what's funny though around this story, the big thing, like, I guess the perception of kind of being in the center of it was, he didn't want to acknowledge that like psychic helped him. But the funny thing is, I remember all the information that I heard around this, and what really broke was a psychic broke the case. A psychic broke the case, and they didn't want to acknowledge it, or they didn't want to honor that because, it's going to make the detectives look bad, or it's going to make the police look bad. And I found it fascinating that I started seeing like this public consensus that a psychic was right and they didn't want to acknowledge it, kind of thing. And I thought it was really cool, actually. And what fascinated me about the thing was when they started talking about, it's like a psychic that's like a Christian mystic, or he's like a Christian psychic. And you had all these weird, like, people didn't really know how to wrap their heads around it. And I thought, in my mind, I'm like, wow, it's kind of interesting that that's how they're approaching this, or that's how they're labeling him, and they're labeling him like a Christian psychic or something. And it was just weird. And for me, it drew me into the case. Like, I didn't know anything about it, and I just found it very fascinating, like the perception around it and how the media was portraying it. And I mean, I thought you handled it very well. And honestly,
thank you.
I thought for me, I was like, all right, it's kind of cool. This guy did right by like the psychic community, like kind of putting it in that light and not, not really going back and forth with them. I thought you handled it good. And I thought it was interesting that the perception was, the detectives couldn't acknowledge that a psychic helped them or gave them the insight and the guidance that led them to closing it or finalizing the case, and it was something that fascinated me at that time.
Well, I'll tell you, it's not just the detectives, it's the media. Years ago, I had a case in Colorado where ABC News came out to follow me. And, just a little background, gal went missing. Mother spent 4 years every weekend driving 6 or 8 hours to go look for her daughter. But I worked on the case, and then ABC News came in and followed me, and using my intuitive gifts and just, how we started, I knew that the boyfriend was a gang member, and gang members like the tag, especially in this part of the area. And so my intuition led me to a reservoir. And when I first started, had the conversation with the mom, I connected through a teddy bear, psychedelic teddy bear. I guess she kept in her car. And I said, well, tell me about all the pollen on the car. So the place I went to was Juniper Berry Campground or something full of juniper berries. And so with ABC News following me, we went up, and at the cliff's edge, there's an S sprayed on one of the rocks, and her last name is Shelling. And so I explained that, it's a campground. They live, 10 minutes from this reservoir. It's probably, so ABC News was with me, and the reporter at the time, who is still on The View, was more interested in getting home for her dinner party than actually doing anything. So they ran the whole show on me, and this is where media tries to discount us too. And at the end, they bring on this guy that looks like he could be a witch doctor. I don't know where he came from. And his first words out of his mouth on the interview was, I am the only one paid to look at these cases psychically, something like that, and just made a big scene. And then he said, any psychic can say they're in the water, or they're this, or they're that. So they brought this person on to kind of discount me. And I think, wow, dude, whatever. So even the news can try to discount what we do. But here's the thing. I led them to where she is. Is she ever going to be found? No, because it's a very deep reservoir. We can't hire divers because they boat on the lake, a whole bunch of things. But I gave them enough information to get a conviction against your boyfriend without a body. So when I look at ABC News, that's all fine. So they went through the process. 2 years later, he gets the conviction for murder. and her unborn child. She was, I don't know, 16 weeks pregnant. And I wrote back to the producers at ABC News and I said, hey, look, this is a story you may remember you did on me. And then you bring in this woo woo, whatever, dude. I don't know where it came from to try to discount me. I said, but maybe you should do a follow up that the information that you filmed that I gave to the detectives help get to a conviction. What I mean by that is when I was there with the mother looking around, I went to his grandmother's backyard and I knew something was back there. And I went back twice and I knew something was back there. So when I look back at the footage, there was big breaking news that they're in this guy's grandmother's backyard and they're pulling all this stuff out of the ground and on and on and on. It validates, makes you feel good. So I went back to ABC News and I said, hey, this guy got convicted from the information I gave the police department, the same information that you had from filming me for 3 days. Maybe you should do a story on that. And it really came down and a slap in the face was, we're here for the ratings and feel good stories don't sell.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's the media that we have to deal with also.
Yeah. Isn't it a shame? What is it? The negative headlines pull in. It's like 80% more attention than like the positive headline or something crazy like that. Yeah, it's a shame. But yeah, I guess that's part of the battle, is getting past that perception or people not wanting to acknowledge what can come from this in a positive way. But
yeah, what can come from us? That's the thing. People don't want to acknowledge what comes from us.
Yeah.
And that's where I hope we can change that. My whole life, my whole psychic career, intuitive career, I've advocated for what we do on an ethical level. And I just encourage people that may be listening to this who are intuitive is always advocate on an ethical level that we do make a difference. And you have to separate us from the negative. And because people have such a perception of that word, psychic, we're always going to have to fight that. And then the yahoos that come out with the $5 flashing lights in the stores, we have to deal with that. But again, I just want us to continue to do what we do, help others and advocate for our profession because it is a profession. And we do make a difference.
Yeah, and I guess that is it. It's the perception, like any industry, there's good and good and bad. Auto mechanics, good and bad. Carpenters, good and bad. Doctors is going to be good and bad. Psychics and mediums, same thing. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. If we can do it in a positive, uplifting way and show people we're doing this like in an authentic way where we truly want to give back, be of service, truly, I would say shine in the loving light of God, then I guess we're doing our job, and I guess that's that's all we could do, right?
As long as we're helping people move forward, find closure, it's the best we can do, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, hey, amen to that. Absolutely.
I don't know anything about the tiger story, but from what you just said, you were telling us. To me, I know that to have an ability to connect and know things, you are highly sensitive, which means that you're vulnerable, and it must be very trying because if you have all these people that are wanting different things, plus you're activating these skills that you have, and you're very, very sensitive to receive that information. I think it's a lot on your whole system and your mental capacity and your self. So I hope that you're somehow during these jobs protecting yourself from all of this, because a lot of it is negative and they all want different things. There's the person that wants to have it solved who's they know the victim, and then there's the I don't know if it's like the different detectives or the police or some kind of investigative team that's for the state or for the plaintiff, and then you have like news people who want ratings. So it's a lot, and it's I don't even know how that's unbelievable. to take all that on
Yeah,
for
well,
years.
Troy was definitely in the heart of it. Like, and I'm surprised really because this was like a media sensation. I mean, this was like the only like when they were talking about the Tiger King, that was the only thing you really heard about for a long period of time. So Troy was definitely in the you were like in the center of this huge media campaign. I mean, that was the only thing I remember. That was like I felt like anytime I turned on any kind of social media or TV, like that's all anyone was talking about. You were in like the heart of it. Did you find that like as you were in the middle of this, it just became like this sensationalized monstrosity just trying to get ratings, or like what was it like? What did it like
So,
unfold into? Was it something that you saw initially a little different and then it was like the media conglomerate just took over, or what?
so I work a little bit different, and you guys know this. So I don't read things about myself. I don't read what the media writes about me. I don't care about any of that. So yes, I've heard this too over the years. People have called me. I mean, I think I got 10,000 emails about what I should do with myself, calling myself a Christian and being a psychic and blah, blah, blah. I that's easy to delete. But as far as the media goes and anything I do, because again, when I go on site, I always have media around me. I just tune it out.
Yeah.
And I tell people I don't read about myself. I don't watch any of the shows I've been on. Um, it's just maybe part of the way that I protect myself is I just don't. I just did a recent interview for Mysteries, Unsolved Mysteries on a serial killer case I'm working on. And, they're like, we'll let you know when it comes out. And I'm like, you don't need to because I won't watch it anyways. Um, so it's just the way that um, it keeps it out of my head. Everybody's
Yeah.
got an opinion, but I don't need to hear it. I hate being on video, so I don't watch myself on TV. I know they're out for ratings. In this interview I did for Mysteries, Unsolved Mysteries, they were trying to break me down because I do cry. But it's like you're not going to do it. We've been through this game. I played this game. Ain't going to happen. Not going to cry. And I know that, and I know it's for ratings. So again, I'm coming in and telling you my truth, what I see, what I have, what I know. However you want to swing it, knock yourself out because I know the truth. And that's how I look at media, and that's why I don't really pay any attention.
Yeah, it's funny. No, I think you kind of have to be that way when you're doing this work because that's what I would find. Like early on, I would like look on, oh, what did they have to say about this event I did, or what did someone say about this? And yeah, and I think you get caught up into it. Then you get into your own head, and then you're like scrutinizing what are you doing, and you play as a media, exactly what you had said. We just get into that flow. We'll let go, get into the flow, and kind of trust, right? And just
I don't
let that
even,
information go through us,
my wife notices all the time that people will stop like they know me or recognize me. And Michael and Mary, I just block it all out. I don't even know who's looking at me. I don't even care unless you want to pay for my meal,
I know.
unless you want to pay for my grocery bill. So for me, I guess I'm insensitive to it. Where my wife still catches it. Hey, that person looks like they know you. Well, okay. Um, I think it just is part as what we do, not just for me being in the media, but for you guys. We have to carry that shield of protection that, God to protect us. We have to put that around us. Because number one, like you said, if we feed into it, it's going to hurt us. It may change who we are. It may change what we do. And so I just have to block it out.
We have some comments here. Gina Garcia. Oh my gosh. Admire how you challenged media with respect and integrity. Imagine what collaboration can deliver. Beautifully stated, Michael. Media is bad news. Suzanne says so much fake news out there. I don't trust what I hear. I trust my instincts. Please keep doing what you do. It is an amazing gift. Thank you. And then Kevin says, fake news everywhere these days.
Yeah.
Well,
It's crazy.
Yeah. We are so grateful that you came tonight. And I know you've already been on for a while, so I don't want to keep you. It's it's a
It's
lot.
all right. It's still early where Troy is. We can keep him on till like midnight here, you know.
It's not even dinner
It's all right.
time.
It's good.
It's not even dinner.
It's not even dinner.
Not even dinner. Yeah. Look, I had a great
It's
time.
been a pleasure. Really
Yes,
appreciate you jumping on and giving us
Yeah.
a little of your perspective, because you've
Yeah,
seen, you know, you've
I
seen
love
like the bird's eye view, and you've kind of been in the heart of this, you know. So
Yeah.
it's interesting, and you know, we appreciate your perspective, seeing how, you know, in the heart of the media, the realm of media, the world of media there in Hollywood, you know, what it's like, how you've managed it. And yeah, and I think you could be an inspiration for those of us that, you know, are trying to get into TV or film or do things on that level. To, I guess, if we try to do this in an ethical, authentic way, then, you know, that's all we can ask for, you know. And I think that's probably the best advice from you that you've shared with us is, you know, do it in your truth, right? Do it in your way, and I guess the rest will work itself out, right? No matter what chaos will ensue, or what the media misperceptions may be, or what people may think. If we're doing it in the love and light of God, then we're doing our job. No, Troy, I appreciate you. I appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate you shining light on the fact that there are Christian mediums. There are, you know, I think there's a lot of preconceived notions around this, that it's evil, or it's bad, or it's negative. And I think when people truly see that there are people like you and like me that are trying to do this in light of God, trying to do this and bring healing to people, and we're not trying to utilize this to manipulate and control, and, you know, we're trying to be of service. Well, I think we can open up a new conversation, and hopefully we can show people that this can truly be done in the love and light of God. And, you know, you're a shining example of that. So we
Well,
thank you
thank
for
you.
that. You know, thank you
And
so much
so
for
are
being
you
a part of
guys.
the
And
show.
so are you guys. You know, Michael, I've known you for a while and followed you, and Mary, I've looked up your stuff, and you guys are amazing to me. So it was an
Aw,
honor to be here
thank
because you
you.
guys are doing, you know, what we're supposed to do, and you guys are honest and truthful. And so I have to thank you for being who you are, and you guys inspire me. You inspire me a lot, and so I appreciate that. And I will keep following you guys, um,
Aw,
of course. And if I can help you guys in any way, let me know. But again, thanks for inspiring me. Thanks for having me on. And I think it's time to go get some
And
food.
Troy, anyone that wants to follow what you're doing, that wants to get a reading, that wants to get some life coaching, what's going to be the best way for them to contact you?
Just reach me on my website at psychicmediumtroy.com.
All right. And anyone out there that's listening, we will have all of Troy's social media information, his website, his contact information, along with the podcast. We'll have this all posted in our information, so you can get access to Troy, anything he's doing. But Troy, thank you so much for being here with
Thank you.
Two Psychics Podcast. We really appreciate your time. We really appreciate your insight. And I got some, we'll be chatting off air at some point. I got some interesting
Okay.
stories for you that you're gonna find very, very interesting, that I can't really share on air
Yeah.
yet.
I'm looking forward to it. All right, guys. God bless. Take
thank you
care.
so
Thank you so
Thanks
much.
for all
much,
you
Troy.
do.
Appreciate you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye now.
Meeting you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
You there, Mike?
So even though my video is kind of lagging and delayed, I still feel like I'm kind of here tonight. I'm still in the mix a little more than I have been.
I'm so grateful.
I just cringe as I look in, my face is like frozen with my, you know, I feel like my tongue's hanging out of my mouth, or I got, you know, like weird stuff going on.
No, you know what you
that's all
had
right.
earlier?
That's all right.
You were like this for a while.
Yes. That's
No,
like,
I love that interview. He's very interesting. You're doing that face. No, he's amazing. I really like that interview because I liked meeting him. You
yeah,
know,
Troy is a good soul. You know, there's
wow.
people that do this work because they just are called to do it, you know, on a soul level. And
He has
you
unbelievable
know,
awareness.
there's just some people that have the light of God in them, you know, it's people that are just healers, you know, and And I think Troy's one of those people. So it's a pleasure having him with us tonight and getting his perspective, especially someone that's been involved in so much TV and film and, you know, kind of in the heart of Hollywood. And the funny thing is, so you're not really familiar with like the whole Tiger King and like that whole
No, I don't know anything
that whole
about
thing
that, but
unfolding.
hearing
That was
whole
like the
story,
biggest media thing, man. He
I
was
don't
in the
know
center of
anything.
like some of the craziest
Yeah, it sounds
media
awful.
frenzies.
Sounds
Yeah,
awful.
yeah.
It
So
sounds
no,
awful.
it's interesting. It's interesting, you know, getting a little bit of that perspective and kind of navigating
Yeah.
that. And I can only imagine, you know, when you're dealing with that and you have so much focus being on you and it's magnified. And then on top of that, you know, you're navigating things as like as a Christian and you're a medium. And like I know from my own experience, it's not an easy dynamic to navigate. And even though, you know I'm doing the work of what I believe to be the divine work, you know, of the love and light of God. Well, I want to try to be, you know, the light in this darkness of this earth. A lot of people are still going to say, you know, you're crazy or you're evil or, you know, that's not right. But I like Troy, and I think Troy can. I think he could be an inspiration for us as we're trekking through this and see no matter what circumstances you're going through or in the middle of Hollywood or whatever's going on, if we're doing this in our truth and we're doing this in the love and light of God, that you know we're gonna be okay. We're gonna be okay, and we're gonna move forward in a positive way. I would just have
I
to,
don't really,
you know,
I
I'm gonna have to keep that
don't,
energy in my heart.
but see, I don't care what other people think, so I don't really
No,
listen to
yeah,
them. So I just do my own thing, and
yeah.
like we said before we got on the show, and I believe some of these people that surround successful psychics like Troy are so jealous, and that is why they attack him, and that's a form of psychic attack, because when someone's doing good things, right, unraveling a case, solving a
Mhm.
crime, then someone's going to be jealous of that, aren't they? And they're not going to want to admit or let him take credit for it, which sounds like is what happens in a common way in that
Yeah.
field. That's so difficult. I can't
And
even.
I think we're also dealing with certain stereotypes, you know, and we're breaking down certain stereotypes. This is bad. This is evil. This is the way this should be done. And we're starting to see, hey, we can move through this in a positive way and really, really help people in a divine way with this gift.
Yes, we are. And we're going to have a show together, a dinner show. Okay,
We
everyone. So thank
are.
you so much for joining us. So this was episode 89. It's May 14th. I don't even know if I said that tonight. 2026. We had Troy Griffin, intuitive investigator and life
Strategist, life strategist, medium
whatever.
psychic.
Anyway, so next week we have Joe Shield, who
Joe
is
Shield, Reverend Joe. Reverend Joe will be us. That's gonna
our
be a good one too. That's gonna
yeah,
be
and
real
I got
good.
a message from his assistant, so I have to respond. And then the end of the month we have Kelly Wagner. So I am looking
We have
forward.
got a
I know we have a lot of
banging month of
we really
really,
do, we
really
really
good
do.
guests.
I got to
Woo.
get that episode 100 settled with who's going to be on episode 99 and 100. I think that's a big deal.
Yes.
Everyone out there, please go online. Go to our Facebook page, Two Psychics or Mary Amy or Eye of the Spirits, and look for the post about Pelham Rails.
June 10th. June 10th. Yes.
Come meet us
Buy a
in
ticket. Come hang out with us.
June 10th. June 10th. And the
Yes.
doors open at 6 o'clock. Dinner served at 6:30. It's going to be a fun night. So come on out to Pelham, New York, and meet Michael Edley and Mary Amy, and you will have a great inspirational spiritual evening.
The first 50 people get a free crystal from Mary Amy.
No, everybody who comes does. So everyone out there, thank you for joining us on Two Psychics podcast, and we'll be back next week on Thursday.
And hopefully my video won't be lagging, so I apologize, but I am with you here fully in my voice.
And thank you everyone for
Love ya.
comments.
See you soon.
Please like our video and comment. Okay, and follow us. All right.
Peace.
Bye. Bye, Mike.
I'm holding up a peace sign, so hopefully it's delay. Let's see. Peace, peace. How long will it delay from me saying peace till you see a peace sign?
I can't see. Oh,
Peace, 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 peace. You're still not seeing it. You're still not seeing it. You're still not seeing it. That's all right.
It's really lagging.
Oh,
Okay, there it is.
oh, that's how lag my phone. That's how lag